Hello, this is Jimmy Mitchell, and we are back with another episode of the Libertarian Uncensored podcast. Let's get right into it. First, we have Biden's $280 billion corporate welfare scheme from Common Sense Soapbox on YouTube, and I posted that, and I said, let's see what I say, big government and big business really are joined at the hip, like big government and big media. And I think that's, it's very important to know, people say, oh, these tyrannical billionaires are running the government. Well, the thing is, the United States is often giving them a lot of their money as well. That's the thing. And that's why we gotta have a truly free market and separate, I would say, big business from big government, and also big media from big government, because they're all connected. But big pharma and big government as well, I would say. They're all kind of connected, and the same people run them, and that's important to remember. Then we have Never Change Fetterman from Kage blah blah blah, and that's crossers from the White People Twitter subreddit, and that's John Fetterman tweeting, I figure if I take up vaping and grabbing the hog during a live musical to make me a folk hero. I guess that's him trying to talk about Bobert, yeah. And, yeah, I said, social media is all deflection and double standards. It's the same tired troops every day, like my side good, your side evil / stupid, in addition to all the circle jerking and rage bait that goes along with it. Orwell really did predict the future with the 2 minutes hate. Then we have What Happened to the Ever subreddit by Stealthfox, and that's their post about how, about how they were apparently talked down to on the Ever subreddit, maybe banned. I don't know. A lot of people complain here about that. So let's see on the Libertarian regular subreddit, not the Uncensored subreddit. So let's see. I said Reddit as a whole is a series of echo chambers, almost as all of which don't really care for dissent or free speech. I miss Aaron Swartz. Reddit was far more free speech oriented and libertarian back when he was around. Then we have U.S. anti-child trafficking activist resigns after sexual harassment allegations from TheGuardian.com. And that's the guy from Sound of Freedom, I think. And I said, he's in the out group, so it must be true. See also Brand Russell. We have Sound of Freedom producer felt the naked breast of apparently underage trafficking victim from Vice.com, like blah blah blah, and that's, I could say the same thing, probably the same thing on that post. It's he's in the out group, so it must be true. It's kind of, it's kind of like, reminds me of when Ford accused Kavanaugh. It kind of feels more like, he's big right now, so let's go after him, rather than a true. It seems more like an agenda thing than, like actually looking for justice. He could have done this last year or the year before that, but no, they need to do it right now because they're big right now, and it shows. That's why they're going after him, I would say. He might be guilty, but, they're definitely going after him because he's big right now, yeah. To a partisan, the nonpartisan is partisan, from Justin Amash, and that was from a post from Doctor Who 07. And they say, after some conversations I've been part of the sub today, I feel need to be restated. It's possible to criticize Republicans without being supporting Democrats. It's possible to criticize Democrats without being supporting Republicans. It's possible to criticize both major parties and still be members support one of them. We should be critical of all our parties and the representatives of those parties. We shouldn't be blindly supporting individual parties just because they have a letter next to their name. In this Libertarian sub, you post shit that bashes the GOP but not the Dems. You probably find Libertarian takes issue with that. The opposite is true too. Most of you support liberty, not party. And I guess I would agree with that, Yeah, you gotta support liberty. You don't want to be overly partisan. If you don't question anything your party does or says, that's not good. You should be questioning everything everyone does and says, because it's important to always be critical of other people, regardless of how much you agree with them or not, I would say. Then we have Elon Musk. We will coup whoever we want. Deal with it. From July 25th, 2020. MB, the coup resulted in at least 3 massacres. Explanation comments from Amazing Barracuda 496. And I agree that's not good. The U.S. billionaires do fund a lot of coups, but you have to remember they're connected to the U.S. government, they do a lot of coups as well. You know, the U.S. did a coup in Iraq. They did a coup in Libya. They tried to do a coup at home one time. That was a few years ago. And, you know, they'll even, you know, it's just, there'll be coups regardless of, the interests of the powerful. They don't care about, what they don't care about the end. They don't care about the means. They only just care about the ends. And you definitely see that with how many coups they have. Then we have, should it be illegal to set up a noose in front of a black person's house as part of a protest? And let's see the vote totals there. I voted no, but I meant to vote yes. So let's see. This is from my servers. Were 10 yes and 37 no. And I said, as long as it's on public property, I think it falls under free expression, but I do think it should be stigmatized, and I would say that regardless of what race the residents in the House are. I meant to vote yes, but accidentally voted no. And then Duck Quasar responded, wouldn't a person setting up a noose specifically targeting another person to be a credible threat to that person's safety, permitting use of deadly force even if on public property? And I said that's a fair argument as well. I could totally see the justification for considering a NAT violation and acting in self-defense as such. Then we have Anti-Woke Stroke. That's a political cartoon with Bobert and I think her boyfriend. It's a cross between the political mean suburb of Chicago, blah blah blah. And it's Lauren Bobert saying, "Oh, I'm tired of Democrats with our grooming workers with their sinful drag shows. Now, excuse me, as jerk off my boyfriend in the middle of a crowd theater." Yeah, I definitely don't think, I don't really think we should be policing behavior too much because, I think it's going to come back and bite the Debs in the ass, say, oh, she's being indecent, but, then the Republicans go, what about all the sexualized drag shows? You don't care about those. And the thing is, if you try and police cover people's appearance or behavior, it's always going to come back to bite you, I would say, and that's something I think we need to remember here. Then we have Texas teacher fined after assigning an illustrated Anne Frank book from Cron.com by Clorox, and yeah. And we'll get back to this later, but I definitely think, if it wasn't on the assignment list and the parents didn't know about it, I think that they should be able to be fired, I would say. They weren't being forthright with what they were teaching, and that's important to remember. You always have to be open about what you're teaching, and in this case, they didn't seem to be. So I think the firing is justifiable and is part of freedom of association, I would say. Then we have, I like seeing mainstream conservatives begin to drop the thin blue line, sheepdogs protecting communities rhetoric. The sooner the right understands that the government is not here to protect us and needs to be brought to a heel, the better. From Spike Cohen on Twitter, and I posted that, and I said, the problem is that the mainstream right will always want to control the state to enforce their standards, I would say. The exact same is true with the mainstream left, I would say. They want to, people are fine with police brutality and authoritarianism when it goes against the opposing side, the same people who were protesting and rioting about in summer 2020 were suddenly fine with it on January 6, 2021, and vice versa. And the thing is that, the police are inherently an authoritarian institution. I would say the state is an inherently authoritarian institution, and that's why I think we gotta have a small state as possible, or get rid of the centralized state entirely, I would say. And that's something that I'm very, very passionate about, because I would say, if you wanna support authority, I think you should be able to do so, but you shouldn't be forced to support authority like we are under the current system. Then we have Rothbard wrestles with his understanding of how to deal with his political opponents while still remaining committed to international peace and staying true to other core values. That's from Amazing Barracuda 496. And I guess that's good. It's a lot of text right here. So, I think Rothbard, he's the guy who's, I think, he's pretty... he was able to criticize both sides, and I think that's very good. So, you don't have a lot of people like that these days, I would say. Because both sides really, the two major sides, I would say, aren't really libertarian in any sense of the word currently. Then we have our Libertarian Censored Votes, the 2023 Argentine presidential election. And I said I'm voting for Millay. I disagree with him on some issues like abortion. As a former NYC mayor, Ed Cox said, if you agree with me on 9 out of 12 issues, vote for me. If you agree with me on 12 out of 12 issues, see a psychiatrist. And so the Millay Villa Rule ticket has 5 votes. The Bullrich Petrie ticket has 1 vote. The Burt Bregman Declania ticket has 1 vote. And the Shireti Randazzo and Maserossi tickets have no votes. And the other has 2 votes. So, yeah, I also said, I saw all the running candidates, or running mates of Rideau came from different political parties in the league candidate, but I just put the league candidates to the party not overcomplicate things. And I also said, I heard Millay had the highest vote score in the primary. He might actually win here, so that will be interesting seeing a Libertarian in charge somewhere, but we'll see how that goes. Then we have should it be legal to set up a guillotine in front of a billionaire's house as part of a protest by Rude My Circle Jerk, and that currently is at 25 votes yes to 14 votes no. I voted yes, and I said voted yes since I think it falls under free expression, just like the news post from yesterday, though I could see it being considered an act violation as well, and I think people would be justified in acting in self-defense as a result in both cases. Then we have school choice increases racial segregation even when parents do not care about race, from panas.org by Dangerous Ad 8554. And yeah, so we're waiting for that to load right now. Yeah, I definitely think, if it does increase segregation, I don't think segregation should be legal. I think legally enforced segregation should be legal, but people want to segregate on their own terms. I think they should be able to do so. And yeah, it's like people on the left, they like segregation when it's like, oh, we have BPOC only events, LGBTQ only events, but now in this case they don't like it, so it just goes to show you how hypocritical they are. But the only standards we allow are double standards, so that just kind of makes sense, I would say. Next we have Republican admits GOP doesn't have evidence where Biden was bribed, from Newsweek.com, and that was by Kage blah blah blah. And I said Donkey said, oh, it's Benghazi 2.0. They have already played this game of taxpayer money. And I said, yep, it's only justified to use taxpayer money on stuff like this when they have the wrong letter next to their name. So that's important to remember. The same people who were saying this is the worst thing ever would be the same people justifying it if Biden had an R next to his name. So that's important to remember as well. Then we have Libertarian Discord server from Magic Man 24. That's the Liberty Lounge Discord server they're advertising. That sounds interesting, I said. Yeah, but I have nothing to really say there on that. Then we have Florida preacher sexually assaulted kids for years on mission trips to Fiji, feds say, from MiamiHerald.com, and that's by Kage blah blah blah. And yeah, I definitely think that is overly authoritarian. I don't think we should be justifying sexually assaulting kids, but I think someone like Kage blah blah, and a lot of people on subreddit wouldn't be posting story if they were a member of the in group rather than of the out group, I would say. Then we have the hypocrisy of this sub is hilarious from My Circle Jerk, and that is it's a sign that says, hang in there, Obama, next to a noose, he says, and the Wojak says, a disgusting hate crime in violation of the NAP. And then the Wojak sees there's now a gun, he's up outside of Jeff Bezos' mansion. And the Wojak says, he's smiling, says, hell yeah, eat the rich. And they added, if people in sub added to live in 1930s Germany, they'd be like, who cares about the Jews? They're rich capitalists who own all the businesses. And I added, personally, I said, let's see. I think the DNC shills on the subreddit are more on Bezos' side. They love WAPA, which he owns. They also love George Soros. It's only the bad billionaires like Mushwitz that they hate. I personally think, the billionaires, they're all, even the ones I like Elon, they're all on probably on the more closer to the government than us, than on the side of the government than the side of the common man, like people like me. So I think that's important to remember as well. I personally think, we need free expression regardless of I think you can, regardless of if it's a threat or not. But if people want to use self defense and when just using self defense, if they feel if not threatened enough, I think they should be able to as well. So that's my thoughts there. As I said on the previous two polls he posted on the issues. With the below letter to TikTok from the UK Parliament, they sent a similar letter to Rumble, demanding that Rumble, the platform, and demonetize Russell Brand, a citizen who has not been charged with, let alone convicted of any crimes, from lingering on Twitter. And I posted that, and I said, scary but not really surprising, especially when they openly endorse censorship like this. And I linked to the Jacinda Ardern speech at the UN recently. She's always saying, "Oh, we gotta censor all the dissenting viewpoints so people can come to a consensus," and that's not good. We need to support free speech even for people we despise. And increasingly, they're only saying you're only allowed to have free speech if it agrees with the agenda, and sadly, that is probably coming to the U.S. soon. The U.S. government has clearly shown it doesn't care about the Constitution or the Bill of Rights at all either, so it's not, I think it's probably going to come here sooner rather than later, sadly. Then we have at R. Weingarten, Stupid or Liar. The teacher was fired for requiring 8th graders to read about sexually explicit passages from the unapproved graphic novel from Jen Wright on Twitter, and that was about the Anne Frank book we talked about earlier, and I said, people don't care about facts, only the narrative agenda. As Malice notes, most people do whatever their media says to. Media marketing isn't too different from advertising, really. I wouldn't be surprised if people who defend a teacher who was fired for showing hardcore gay porn to first graders the media marketed as teacher fired for showing children LGBTQ positive content. Then we have Revolving Door Redux. The DEA's recently departed number 2 returns to Big Pharma consulting firm from APnews.com by Ninja Lover, and I said, big government, big media, big pharma, big business are all in bed together, not surprising. Then we have child marriage finally outlawed in Michigan. Some Republicans are opposed or abstained from voting from gendernewsroom.com, and that's by Clorox. And I think that's interesting. That's kind of an agenda post. The thing is, they don't really care about child marriage. If the media said that child marriage, was good, they'd flip right on it. They say, "Oh, kids can," they say, "Oh, kids can consent to all the gender hormones and surgeries because the media says so." But the media says child marriage bad, so that's why I think they're going really for here. The media could tell them it's bad, but I personally think it's not libertarian to let children consent to make decisions like marriage or to GAC or to surgery, non-life saving surgeries, but they only care because I think it's the media narrative currently. That's kind of like how they're it's like how they can deflect from I don't think kids can consent to GAC and surgeries, and they say, "Oh, what about child marriage?" And that's just how they deflect. It's social media, as I said earlier, is all kind of deflection and double standards. And finally, we have, in a blistering opinion, judge officially blocks Texas book rating law from publishersweekly.com from Scale Whisperer. And I guess that's okay. Yeah. I personally think if parents want to rate books, I think they should be able to. But I don't know if we should have a state book rating system. I would say, because I don't know. I think that might be too authoritarian. We shouldn't have any state system. I would say, because the system, I would say, is inherently the idea of the system is inherently authoritarian. So I think we're gonna wrap up there, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.